As metal prices rise, getting started gets harder. Fractional bullion might be the most practical way to stack right now. Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. Today, I want to talk about fractional bullion, why it makes sense for beginners, and why it still plays a role even when stacking long term. Congratulations to Silver Dragoon for being the first comment on my last video. Thank you for your support. Find Silver Dragoon down in the comments. I'm sure he would love to chat with you about the video. And of course, today is day 5 of counting 5 pounds of copper pennies. So far, we're at 25 pounds. And again, I estimated it might be 35, but now it's starting to look like it's probably a little bit more. $20.25, and gold is trading around $4,486 per ounce. Silver is around $69.65 per ounce, and platinum is about $2,187 per ounce. Silver in particular has been making headlines. It's hit record highs this year, significantly outperforming gold, driven by strong investment demand and supply constraints. That surge means stacking a single ounce of silver today costs much more than it did a few years ago. A big challenge for new stackers today is simply getting started with silver. With silver almost at $70 an ounce, even buying a 1 ounce coin isn't easy for some beginners. 1 ounce may be more than their weekly or bi-weekly budget allows them. That wasn't the case just a few years ago when silver was back below $30 an ounce. A beginner could dollar cost average $40 to $50 each purchase and still leave with over an ounce of silver. Today, a beginner may be trying to save up for this full ounce, and with how prices are moving up so quickly, with silver hitting all-time highs week after week after week, it isn't surprising that some beginners are getting frustrated with trying to save up for a full ounce just to be buying it at a higher cost next week. This is where fractionals come in. Fractionals are just smaller sizes of the same coins. So instead of a 1 ounce, it would be a half ounce or a quarter ounce or a 1/10 ounce. Really, the term fractional is used for anything smaller than 1 ounce of silver. And I personally use the term hyperfractional when it comes to anything smaller than 1/10 of an ounce. So fractional silver typically comes in the half ounce, quarter ounce, and 1/10 ounce size. If you're interested in grams, I have been noticing the 5 gram, 10 gram, and 20 gram becoming a lot more common. When it comes to stacking, the single most important habit isn't just buying the largest coin, it's buying regularly. Fractionals make it possible to maintain a consistent cadence even when prices rise. Instead of waiting for a 1 ounce coin, you can buy smaller units every week or month. Over the course of a year, a series of small purchases can add up just as much or sometimes more than the occasional big purchase. Consistency will beat timing every time. So imagine this hypothetical. Let's say I'm able to afford $50 a week into silver, but I see that silver just hit an all-time high of $70 an ounce. So let's say I choose to hold my $50 until next week to make it $100, thinking that I would be able to pick up a whole ounce, a quarter ounce, and a 1/10 ounce. However, in that time that I'm holding on to my $50, silver actually reaches $80, meaning that by the time I get to the coin shop, I can actually only afford a whole ounce and a 1/10 ounce. Now let's contrast this to say that I still went to the coin shop when I had the $50 and silver was $70. At that point, I would have been able to pick up a half ounce, and 2/10 of an ounce. Then the next week when I go back to the coin shop and spend the next $50, I would have been able to pick up a half ounce and another 1/10 of an ounce. Between these two situations, one, I end up with a full ounce and either a 1/10 ounce or a 1/4 ounce, and the other I end up with 2 half ounces and 3/10 of an ounce. Now, a 20th of an ounce to a 1/10 of an ounce might seem quite insignificant, but to a brand new stacker, this could be the difference between feeling like they're accomplishing something or feeling completely stuck and overwhelmed with their circumstances. The other benefit to fractionals is being able to spend a specific amount of dollars on your silver every time you're in the coin shop. If you choose to dollar cost average, meaning spending the same amount of money every time you buy, rather than trying to go for the same product, meaning the 1 ounce coin, every single time you buy, then you're more likely to spend more money into silver rather than rounding down to the nearest 1 ounce size. And I know a lot of people are thinking that fractional coins typically have a lot more premium. However, most coin shops sell these fractional rounds at the fractional price of their 1 ounce rounds, meaning that a half ounce round will just be half the price of their generic 1 ounce round. And this isn't a debate between a full ounce or a fractional size. Each have their own cases, and many stackers use both. For my own stack, I use fractionals very strategically. In gold and platinum, they let me stay flexible and consistent while keeping in with my plan of staying in a specific portfolio ratio. Even for silver, smaller units make it easier to dollar cost average weekly without hesitation, which is critical when prices are moving so quickly. The key takeaway is that fractionals are not a compromise. They're just a tool to stay disciplined and consistent over the long term. I would say the best way to do it would be to get the largest coin you can afford, and to put it simply, don't intentionally stay away from the fractionals. There's nothing wrong with stacking up a tube of 1 ounce, a tube of half ounce, a tube of 1/4 ounce, and a tube of 1/10 ounces all at the same time. It would honestly be quite impressive to see after a few years that you have a few tubes of each 1 ounce, half ounce, 1/4 ounce, and 1/10 ounce. Imagine at the end, you might have 10 to 20 full tubes of 1/10 ounce rounds. So if you're new to stacking, or maybe not that new to stacking, and the high prices have made it harder for you to stay consistent, consider fractionals. They're practical, flexible, and they help you stay on plan. I'd love to hear from you. Do you stack fractional rounds? And if so, what's your favorite size? And when you're down there, make sure to read the other comments, start a conversation with people. Like the comments, like the video, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how small, just keep stacking.